Oh man, nobody's going to know I didn't write this. At this time, I will request that the court reporter go on the record. This is the time for the presentation of the boring area withdrawal petition. The court reporter is creating a verbatim record of this presentation that will become a part of the record on review if any. We will hear from the general manager, the chief petitioner, and TriMet staff. The board will have the opportunity to ask questions if desired. Before we begin, have any board members had any ex parte contacts regarding this matter?
No.
Duly noted. I think we need to speak up for the court reporter when we respond so that she knows that. Yeah.
So you want us to do that again?
Yeah. She got the note.
No.
She got the note. Okay. All right. Well, then I turn it back over to Neil.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Board President, members of the board. We're continuing the formal process required for consideration of the boring area withdrawal. And just a brief reminder that boring is currently served by our line 84 Kelso Boring, with weekday service during the morning and evening commutes, as well as Lyft service, Lyft paratransit service. Lyft provides origin to destination service for people with disabilities unable to ride regular fixed route service, and in 2010 there were 10,300 Lyft trips that either began or ended in the affected area. That actually may be 10,200, my apologies. A petition to withdraw the boring area from the TriMet district was received on August 30th. The petition was certified by the Clackamas County clerk, setting in motion the formal process. TriMet completed a study on the impact of withdrawal, and that's been available for about the last month, and you've received a copy and a summary of the study. TriMet held a public hearing last Thursday in front of the board-appointed hearings officer. The hearing was well attended. 9 people testified in support of withdrawal, 18 opposed. And you've all, as noted, received the actual summary report from the hearings officer. So that sort of is the state of play right now. What we'd like to do this morning is have Steve Cowix of our staff actually provide you with some of the background matters associated, particularly with the study. Then we'll ask Jana to review the findings and recommendations and the procedural next steps. Then we've asked actually the chief petitioner, Stephen Bates, to actually spend a few moments with you as well, and I believe he has prepared statements for you. And then obviously address questions and answers that you may have on this issue. So, Steve.
Thank you, Neil. Good morning.
Good morning.
I've just distributed a reference copy of the summary of the study that was part of the previous distribution packet that you received. And if I may, I'll just take a few minutes and highlight some of the points from the study of the area. The study of the area is, as you probably know, is one of the statutory process requirements in the event of a withdrawal petition. And in the summary document itself, there are 2 maps provided. The first one is labeled Figure 1. It's on the 3rd page, and that's the depiction of the area requested to be withdrawn from the district, and is our official map, if you will, of that area. It's shown in the red crosshatch pattern. It essentially extends. The north boundary is the Clackamas-Multnomah County line. The boundary on the west generally follows the area of Damascus that's not a part of the TriMet district presently. And on the east, of course, the boundary is extending over to the edges of the TriMet district and the city of Sandy boundaries. The figure, this includes, in terms of geographic area, about 29 square miles, and we estimate the population in the area is about 7,800 persons based on 2010 census data. The following page is the second map labeled Figure 2, and this map depicts TriMet's transit routes, including in the darker red shading is the line 84 Kelso Boring. operating from the Gresham Transit Center out into the area. And then in the wheat or yellow color, you'll see the edges of the lift service area boundary. And you can see that boundary essentially extends 3/4 of a mile around the outer edges of the Line 84 and includes a substantial portion of the affected area, but not all of it. There are also some other boundaries shown on this Figure 2 map, including the metro boundary, which is a little harder to pick up. It is a heavier dashed line, and there is a portion of the affected area that is within the metro boundary. Generally, it's the area north of Kelso Road and to the west of Southeast 312th Drive, which runs north and south through the area. So that area north and west of those roads is within the metro boundary. This figure also shows the urban growth boundary. It's depicted in the light gray shading tone, and as you can see, none of the requested area is within the urban growth boundary of metro. There are specific criteria in the statute for whether an area is considered to be directly served by TriMet, and this area does meet those criteria, is directly served. And we have operated our fixed route service in the area since 1970, when I understand that TriMet took over service from the Portland Stages bus company, and we've had lift service in the area since the very early 1980s. Just to say a bit more about the Line 84 service that is provided in the area. It is a commute hour service weekdays, operating 5:15 to 8 a.m. and in the afternoons from 3 to 6:30 p.m. There are a total of 6 daily round trips to and from the Gresham Transit Center, 3 in the morning and 3 in the afternoon. When we look at the passenger census of ridership, we see on the line as a whole 35 or more daily boardings on average, and we see an average of 7 rides a day that begin or end at bus stops in the affected area. And if we look at what those numbers would be on an annual basis, that would be about 8,900 rides annually on the line as a whole, and about 1,800 rides in the affected area itself. Just to quickly recap, last winter, TriMet staff went to several meetings in the boring community to discuss our services and get community input on service needs. And in that discussion, there were requests brought forward from the community for additional trips on the Line 84 that would better align with the times for people that would be going to and from jobs in the boring commercial area. And in response to that, as of September 6th, 2 round trips were added on the Line 84. There's a trip that arrives in Boring before 8 a.m. in the morning, and a trip that leaves Boring after 5 p.m. So those 2 trips were new in the schedule as of September. And we do see that since September, there has been a modest increase in ridership, but we see about 10 additional boardings a day on the Line 84 since those schedule changes were made. And to speak briefly about the lift service, as Neil noted, we provide it to eligible individuals within the lift service area. This portion of this, we know from our lift records that there are 31 persons currently residing in the affected area who are eligible for lift service. And we've examined their use of lift over the recent past since July of 2010, and all individuals who are lift eligible have been riding, have taken 1 or more trips, and in total, what we're referring to as the resident lift users, took about 7,100 trips in fiscal 2011 as a group. We also examined the trips that other Lyft users are making, people who reside outside the area and travel to and from the area, and there were about 3,100 of those trips in fiscal 2011. So in total, Lyft provided 10,200 rides during that year to, from, and within the affected area. Another part of the process, excuse me, in terms of developing our profile was a telephone survey, a random telephone survey of households within the affected area. And one of the key questions was, have you used one or more transit services within the past year? And about 1/4, actually 26% of respondents said they had used transit within the past year. And among those who said they had used transit services, the most frequently cited service was MAX, with 79% of that subset saying they had used MAX, and 4% saying Line 84, and about 1% of the sample respondents mentioned using the Lyft service. Another part of the study is to estimate payroll tax revenues generated by businesses and self-employed individuals in the area. And that estimate is, for 2010, was $602,000 in total taxes. Another part of the study is to estimate, if the area were to be withdrawn from the district, what would be the change in the tax rate through the remainder of the district to offset the revenues no longer received from the area. And that tax rate change is estimated to be 1.9 cents per $1,000 of covered payroll. So that would be the rate increase in the event there was to be a withdrawal. We also have information in the summary about the estimated costs of providing the Line 84 and the Lyft services that we're now operating. The summary lists the direct operating costs of those services under point number 7 on the second page. The direct costs total some $400,000 on an annual basis. If we fully account for other system costs, such as our supervision and other support services, the annual cost estimate is $460,000, and that number would be net of fair revenues received. I should say, too, that this number does not include a value or an estimate of the value of the regional services such as Park and Ride and MAX that are used by folks living in the area. So that's my hopefully quick summary. Be pleased to answer questions, if any, at this point.
If I may clarify the cost of operation for direct service.
You might want to speak out.
Are the costs that you offer the total cost of operation, including Lyft?
Yes. Yes, Lyft and Line 84.
So then the service that district is providing a net detriment of approximately $140,000.
Well, that would be the difference between those two, the estimate and the tax revenues as a whole. However, that accounting, as I mentioned, for costing is only costs directly associated with those two elements.
Cost of operation.
Yes.
Not maintenance.
And not the use of, and it doesn't account for essentially the value of other TriMet services used.
I understand. Just nominally speaking, it's paying for service provided. And then if we add ancillary costs, Park and Ride and other elements, covering this cost of